Captain on the bridge.
Alright, captains, we are back on the bridge, and today what I wanted to do was go over the potential ships coming to Star Trek Online from Star Trek Picard Season 3. So, on screen. Yes, but before we do that, captains, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe here to YouTube Bridge, because we're always on the lookout for like-minded captains. So, here we go. Captains, you know we did a video there a couple days reacting and giving our two ECs on the trailer that just dropped, the final trailer for Star Trek Picard Season 3, and we saw this little beauty on screen. Lo and behold, one of the things that I had mentioned before here and there in the past couple months, that especially since our interview with Mr. Bill Krause, as you can see on screen, mentioned that he had another ship that was going to be shown in Star Trek Picard. And with this tweet here, it was confirmed by Bill Krause himself. Another TYCO fleet ship joins the 25th century. So when I saw this, I immediately did think of his design. And of course, I think back to the interview that we did there last year. And captains, just in case, we're going to go to the YouTube bridge here, and there is our interview with Bill Krause, aka Admiral Buck. That was probably one of the most awesomest interviews that we've had here on the bridge, just in terms of talking about ships. Our first love in Star Trek is always about ships, and it just felt like it was a conversation that could be done forever. And as you can see there, captains, it was 4 hours long, and there was really no silence in there in between, because we were just talking hours and hours upon ships, and of course the work that he does and now that he has done for Star Trek Picard. So again, we're going to go back to that tweet there. It says, again, another TYCO fleet ship. Now, in that interview, to prepare for that, he sent me a bunch of files. So what I thought I would do is speculate on this particular ship. And of course, as we mentioned, this is another ship that will possibly, more than likely, come to Star Trek Online. But I wanted to take my guess first before it is revealed. Now, the one thing that stood out to me here in this little just nugget of a shot here was I did see somewhat a semblance of a deflector. And the first thought, honestly, I had was of the hood, which is almost like a Constitution ship, but obviously just modernized and, you know, put into Star Trek Picard Season 3. The one sort of note that I didn't necessarily like about this design, because it does actually look good, is the fact that it, again, is using the Stargazer's nacelle, or the Sagan's nacelle, I should say. But it is what it is. And upon looking at it a little bit, it seems like it's a smaller ship. Now, I'm going to put on screen, captains, one of the files he sent me to kind of go over in that interview. So I'm going to put that on screen here. And then go over. The amount of detail Bill goes through his work is just absolutely amazing and stunning. So I guess, like I said there, from the fifth ship down there from the left side was the hood. And the reason why is the pylons there seemed a little slanted back. But again, it didn't seem like too big of a ship. So it might be something probably more like the Sentinel class, which I wouldn't mind, just modernized in the Star Trek Picard era. And again, this does have a deflector on it right there. Now, there is a possibility that it could still be the hood just shrunken down. But really, the only major difference between the Sentinel and the hood, there is a neck. Now, I don't mind the Sentinel class. I do like that look. Kind of Nova-esque, where there's just no neck. The saucer is directly connected to the secondary hull. Now, there is the Wasp, which is called the NX-7Y Black Hawk. It seems a little too small, but again, they could resize it. Now, we did talk about that ship in detail in that interview, and captains, I recommend you guys check that out. It was a really fun interview. there in the YouTube bridge and the live section. It just seemed a little too small, so my guess is the Sentinel class. But really, captains, I wouldn't mind having any of his ships in Star Trek Online, to be honest with you, because his designs are just beautiful. And you know, one of my favorites really is the, if you go to the bottom right corner there, the Expedition Cruiser, and then the Expedition Cruiser as well with its different pylon configuration there, which of course is one of his babies that you see in terms of when you search him in Google, you will see his ship there. And again, there's the Calypso class and the SX class. So, and I would really love the Courageous class concept, which is the bottom left corner ship there. So again, my initial guesses are, initially is the Hood, the second would be the Sentinel, and then of course I could say a just maybe larger Black Hawk type ship there, so, or a reconnaissance vessel there at the very top left. So thought we would go over that, and just to get that out of the way in terms of my guesses. Now we'll look again here. So that is, again, this is from his Twitter. So again, he just confirmed it. That's his ship. So 2 ships, and now we know that the hero ship, the Titan, is going to be there, and now this mystery ship right here. It does look a little smaller. If you kind of look at the saucer and the bridge module there, it does look like it's a smaller ship. So my bets probably is it's kind of a Sentinel or a shrunken down Hood. Now, if we go to the trailer itself here, we get a little bit more detail here. So now you in this shot, you can see that the saucer is actually directly connected to the secondary hull. So it might not be the Hood, but could be a Sentinel class. So that could be what it is. Now we're going to move the frame here a little bit so we can see that shot again here. It does get a little blurry, but we can see there it is right there. There is that little blue hint of a deflector there at the bottom. So I think just the way that the angle is, it could just be that. And yeah, that's probably going to be best. My guess is the Sentinel, and then probably second then would, now seeing this, let's probably go with the Black Hawk, or his Wasp as he calls it. But my bets are on the Sentinel. Regardless, I'd love to see this and how they translate this ship into Star Trek Online. So there's that ship. Now the other ship that we saw in some of the trailers there, and we saw it before already, was this ship right here. Now, mind you, we already have this sort of LLaP looking ship here in Star Trek Online, so don't need to worry about that. We actually have that personally. It was an event reward. So this, like I'd mentioned, reminds me of a Steam Runner class, but this is actually based on a concept right here, which is quite interesting. And the only thing that they added here, obviously they changed the configuration of the saucer, but they added a sort of strut that goes between the 2 warp nacelles there. And I don't know, this design is kind of unique, I will say. And again, almost like a Steam Runner 2.0 with no deflector though hanging, which kind of is the only thing that bugged me about the Steam Runner, is that deflector hanging below. There was a concept art of a Steam Runner, an upgraded Steam Runner or a next generation Steam Runner, where the deflector was actually sitting above the saucer there, and I thought that looked a lot better. But regardless, this ship here, and it's actually called the Phoenix. So this is actually based on John Eves. So that's pretty cool. I don't see why we would not get this, and you can see the nacelles definitely do match there, and it even has the fins there on the side there. So there's that, and of course we get this shot of it here, of the ship. Where is that? Certain shot of the camera we saw there in the beginning of this trailer, where it was crashing into the Titan. So again, you get a clear shot there of that attachment piece between the nacelles there. So we see it in one shot, then it there it goes. My guess is probably going to also be that is probably Beverly's ship, possibly. And this definitely in Star Trek Online would be something like a Raider type class or escort. So that's, again, my guess there for that ship. But again, really, it would be something that we should have had a long time ago. But again, this speaks to the relationship that we're seeing between Star Trek Online and Star Trek, where we're seeing a lot of the designs coming to screen. Having said that, something that we didn't cover before, but we'll cover now, when we look at this picture, here's some other concept arts, and this ship right here was one of the ships that they based the design of the Inquiry, I believe. And as you can see, I would have loved it would have given us the option to use that, because I definitely would have used that. That looks really nice and more sort of tactical than the Inquiry does, in my opinion. But as I can see, there's a lot of art here that hasn't been used, and that bottom right ship there reminds me of the Alita there, which of course now we do have in Star Trek Online. So that of course is two ships that we could expect or can expect to come to Star Trek Online. Now, the other ship that we'll talk about here is the enemy ship here. I will say I'm always a Starfleet Federation captain through and through, but I will admit, when there are designs that look really interesting, and this does look interesting. This is almost like a melee weapon, really, but this is the ship that we see Crazy Evil Lady captaining here and pew-pewsing against the Titan A there. And this is just a shot of it firing some weapons there. I'm not going to play it just in case of copyright stuff. But there's this other picture that I could find here. There's another sort of profile that you can see the side there. So it almost reminds me of like a Batwing, in a sense, where it looks very like that one shot where the Batwing was going up to the moon in the first movie. So it has like these 4 wings there and had kind of like an X-Wing vibe there. So I will say that this definitely will be coming to Star Trek Online, in my opinion. And of course, it depends on I'd like to see a little bit more shots on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it personally, but of course, if it's something that we will, and if we want it, of course, we'll go ahead and grab that. Now, the other ship, of course, that we know is coming here to Star Trek Online is the Titan A. And we've said this before. We like the ship. We're definitely going to get it. I have my issues with it. One, of course, is the deflector. And I wish they kind of use a different configuration, because that looks too much like an Excelsior type. Even seeing the Excelsior 2, again, it just kind of reminds me of that configuration. Now, I wish they would have kept the saucer of the original design that Bill had, the Shangri-La, because here in the saucer, it had 2 armament points here. And it had 2 torpedo launchers. Actually, it was a cutout. But, you know, if we per se get this in game, I wish they would give us that option. Probably not, but one can wish. Now, of course, in the background there, don't see why it wouldn't be a possibility, but hopefully I was hoping maybe just like costume change. But this ship here, that looks like a Sagan with only the 2 top nacelles, apparently is called the Echelon class. Of course, just correct me in the comments below, captains, if I'm wrong. That'd be another potential ship to come along. If that does, I wouldn't get it. But there you go. You have now 3 ships that are carrying the nacelles there of the Sagan. Now, having said that, we'll go back to the trailer there where we saw the fleet shot, of course, of the Enterprise F. We have to have another look at the Enterprise F, shall we, captains? Because why not? We're here. This is another ship that, well, I can't say it's coming to Star Trek Online, but that skin is coming to Star Trek Online. So can't wait for that, and hopefully they just give that for free, but we'll see how they handle that. Now, we see them meeting up with a bunch of ships here, and my guesses are, when I'm looking at this, is, of course, we see Sovereign classes, we see Sagan classes. Now, there's the Echelon classes right there as well. I can't quite make out that one ship right there below that Sovereign, but it is a... It's hard to kind of get it because it kind of fades out. And there's the other ships up there off screen there, but hopefully, you know, when we get this, we'll get these options of getting the Echelon 2 into Star Trek Online because it's there on screen. And or currently on the Sagan class, just take off an option to take off the bottom nacelles, and then there you go, you have a different class ship because they're classified as different ships. Now, the other thing that we wanted to go through in this one, this particular video in terms of seeing what we want to see here in Star Trek Online, if I can find it here, I thought I had it ready, is it on this one? Oh, it was in this one. Just gonna try to find it here. I didn't want to like make too many windows here. Is this the Starbase 1? Now, I believe this is Starbase 1. Now, I had mentioned before in the videos that this timeline is before the timeline now in Star Trek Online. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's according to what Thomas said, that when he redid the Audi, he couldn't make it the Yorktown because the Yorktown is more like a refit of the Odyssey class. Having said that, the Starbase that we have in Star Trek Online doesn't have these attachments to it. Now, this is of course something we can't purchase, but I would just like to have it there and make it another sort of social zone in there. That would be very, very cool if this was a social zone, and or the new captain's sort of table where, you know, lifetime members can only access this as opposed to just a nebula. Again, that's just a thought there. But in the latest trailer there, the one thing, there was a shot of the Titan, and there's Jordy pissed off again. Here is that Starbase again. I believe this is Earth, who knows? But it this time it doesn't have those attachments to it. It does have attachments, but it's not like the one that we see here. So it looks like it's the same Starbase because, or I guess not. Maybe it's a different Starbase because the positioning of it is a little different from the looks of it. So regardless, it would be nice if they also brought this into Star Trek Online and or incorporated this refit onto the Starbase itself. But again, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But again, the purpose of this video primarily was, of course, to speculate on what ships are coming into Star Trek Online, but also give props again to Mr. Bill for having another TYCO ship join one of his designs, Star Trek Picard, and again for the potential of that coming into Star Trek Online for us. Again, if it's something that we can get, and more like, I just would like to see a little bit more of obviously the full ship, see how it looks, and hopefully we see it in action there in Star Trek Picard Season 3. So captains, that's the video there. Thought we would have a little fun discussion there. So like the video, let us know below, captains, what do you think? And if there's something that I missed there in these trailers, let us know. But also, what would you like to see from current Star Trek, in your opinion, that you'd like to see in Star Trek Online? And of course, subscribe here to the YouTube Bridge, as we're always looking for like-minded captains to join us here, not only to have discussions like these, but also to have fun and enjoy the Star Trek universe together here on the YouTube Bridge. So with that note, we will leave it on this.
Live long and prosper.